Alright, so we're going to start off this video with a quick quiz. This painting that we're looking at currently, which is The Return of the Prodigal Son by Rembrandt, would be associated with which artistic movement? And hopefully you're thinking right now, Baroque. Rembrandt was associated also with another movement that we refer to as the Dutch Golden Age, but that really did not typically include religious or historical themes. So this is a Baroque painting. It was actually mentioned in church last Sunday, which is why I chose it for this week's Painting of the Week. And it depicts the story of the prodigal son as told in the Gospel of Luke. And I'll talk a little bit about the story right now. The idea is that this is a parable that Jesus tells, and it's about a wealthy man who has two sons. And one of the sons says that he wants his inheritance and that he wants to go off and live on his own. So his father gives him his inheritance, and the son squanders it, right? He wastes it on gambling and prostitutes, and he's completely destitute. He's working as a swineherd, and it says he looks even at the food that the pigs are eating, and he would long to just eat his fill of the pods on which the swine feed. But then it occurs to him that his father's servants have a pretty good life compared to the life that he's living now, right? He's basically starving to death, and he says, you know what, I'm just going to go back to my father, and I'm going to beg him. I'm going to say, Father, I'm not even worthy to be called your son anymore, but just treat me as you would one of your hired men, so that I can live at home again and not die of starvation. And when the father sees his son coming back, he immediately takes him into his arms and he forgives him, and he's happy that he's home, and he gives this big celebration. But the father's other son, who never left home, who continued staying at home and working for his father, is kind of upset by this because unlike his brother, right, he had always been responsible, he had always respected his father, and his father never threw some big festival for him. But now his brother, of course, is returning home, and his father is overjoyed, and he's throwing a big party, and they're going to slaughter the fattened calf. And we can see the brother's hands here sort of folded in judgment against his brother. So the theme here is that of forgiveness, and I'm not going to talk too much about the deeper theological significance of this, although I think it's fairly obvious. Let's look more now specifically at this painting. So let's identify who we have here. We'll start out with the obvious people. So here's the prodigal son. He's resting his head against his father's chest. Can you find the boy's mother? She's hidden. She's back here in the shadows. You can just barely make out her silhouette. She's standing in the doorway right there. The other brother, the non-prodigal son, is this man right here. And we can identify him as his father's son because they're dressed similarly. They're both wearing this red cloak, which would have been indicative of their wealth. This man who's sitting here also appears to be fairly wealthy based on his outfit. So maybe he was some associate of the father, like a tax collector, the estate developer or manager, something like that. And then this last boy that we can see sitting here, dressed quite a bit more plainly, and he looks to be a little bit younger than the rest of the people here, so he's probably a household servant. So the astute viewer will notice something interesting here. Rembrandt has painted the father with both a masculine hand, the left hand here on the right, so we can see how it's thicker, the features are more defined, a little bit more rugged looking, and then a feminine hand here on the left, the father's right hand, which has more gentle features, it looks smoother. So this is interesting from a theological perspective, because if we think of the Christian view of God as Jesus is representing him here in this Bible story, it's someone who is authoritative, someone who is worthy of fear, who commands respect, attributes that would have traditionally been associated with masculinity, but at the same time, this God is merciful, he's compassionate, he's full of forgiveness, characteristics that we would traditionally associate with femininity. And this idea, of course, is not exclusive to Western religion. It is in many ways, I think, even more pronounced, more important in a lot of the Eastern religions, where we talk about this idea of yin and yang and masculine and feminine personality traits or characteristics, where the ideal individual is not someone who's fully on one side or the other, who's fully masculine or feminine, but embodies an appropriate blend of these two different flavors of character. And so it is also with God.